Now we're started. Welcome, one and all, anyone watching this, past, present, or future, to another episode of Iris of Our Eye. I'm still the host, Zycon Evan Flo, and today I am sitting across from this beautiful soul right here, MK McCartney, like Paul McCartney. Like Paul. So I met MK probably here first, which is we're in, not my bedroom, we're on Skype, we're in her yoga studio. I was living in Bohemian Grove, or down the street from Bohemian Grove, and this was like the closest place that was allowing for like some spiritual activities like yoga and breathwork and stuff, which is eventually I started doing breathwork here, which is, thank you so much for that.
For sure.
Life-changing experience to actually be able to person hosting that said thing, but I've bought 10-pack classes I still haven't used the whole thing of, but
What happened?
The 10-pack, I bought that when I first came here, and I still haven't used them all.
Oh, you haven't?
I don't think so, dude. I'm not consistent enough. And also I moved away now, but yeah, I should really use all those.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're there for, to be used.
Definitely.
But that is how we met.
Yes.
So, anything that you want to add, any part of yourself or your consciousness or your psyche that you want to lay out for the people?
It's just, like you said, having the studio here has been great in the sense that, for many reasons, but also that all of a sudden I have just people coming literally through the doors who I never would have met otherwise. And on top of that, we're doing the type of work that is pretty special. And so you're meeting people from all over in different places in their lives. I could tell, like, when you came in, that you had been on this path for a while.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah. And and then as I got to know you more, just hearing more about your story and the different modalities that you have been working with, it's always fun for me to learn new things from other people and to see the different healing modalities evolve and also stay the same. Right. Both. So, yeah.
The change is eternal, but simplicity is just queen or king. If it's too complex, it'll just fall apart eventually.
Definitely.
Simplicity is king or queen.
Yeah.
So two firsts for the show. Not only.
Can I burn some?
Please.
Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. Clean
for you and the guests.
For the guests.
Clean it up.
Through the internet. You guys can eventually, the AIs will be able to press a button and get a little smell of Palo Santo out of your computer or something. I don't know.
It'll be good for them too.
Yeah, or like the what is it, the what the heck is that thing called? The chip that Elon Musk is working on. Neuralink will just fake the neuron impulses in your brain and be like, oh, I smell Palo Santo, but there isn't actually any burning.
That's crazy.
Dude, it's too close to science fiction for me to be like, they're just gonna do something that's not good for you with it. Anybody who's like, oh, I trust him 111. I'm like, dog, you crazy.
You shouldn't give all your power away to anyone,
right, dude,
or your trust if you don't really even know them.
Dude, I don't fucking. You just don't do it. You heard it here first. Wouldn't recommend it. If you know anything about how the experimental phases of those things go, it's all of the monkeys end up in excruciating pain and end up having to be put down. It's not good. Wouldn't recommend it. Don't do it. I'm not gonna let my kids do it. That's for goddamn sure. So you might not be my kids, but pay heed. Don't do it. So the first of however we got on a tangent, would be you were the first lady on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, I have this thing that I'll put hand right here of the artwork, since I'm going to be able to, I like doing that and being able to point to it and then it pops up and then it's a little, they make scenes and you throw a thing on there. But
nice.
technical jargon aside. So I get to use that art that I paid for, and First Lady, and First Healing Artist.
Nice.
I mean, that isn't me. It's like, except when I'm gonna get to say the line again when I'm gonna have to interview the first comedian probably like 2 weeks from now. I'm like, first comedian that isn't me, but future people enjoy the dumb joke that I'm making. That aside, we can actually get into the standard operating procedure for the first time any human being is on this show.
Okay.
Or, yeah, I guess show is the right word. What is art to you?
I would say art is a deep expression of your spirit.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Wrap it up.
Yeah. I think that's sort of the purpose, is to let something out, let your story out, let a hope out, maybe good or bad, you know. It's bringing it out of you into the world for others to see as well.
Yeah, I think the second guest that I had on, Justin Eckert, he had said that like even if you do something in like irony, like ironically, or just like the distance of like not taking it seriously, there's still like a layer of like this is just how you feel in your expression of your your beingness. Like even if you like you want to shit on art, like art's lame or whatever, it's like that's a stance, that's a take, that's art, dog. Like,
for sure.
Damn it, you got me, trick me. If I get too comedic, let me know. That happens when I like go out in the world and like do comedy. Like I'm not a pure comedian, so sometimes it gets annoying when it's like you're around people who are more pure comedians, or just in general. Like it's like they just every opportunity to make a joke, it's like they're making the joke. And
Got
like,
it.
Dog, like,
I just want to talk to you.
Yeah. Gotta be the podcast grounded interviewing guy right now.
There you go.
So art is the expression of the spirit.
Yeah.
Expression
of your spirit.
Subconscious. I suppose then we can move briskly right here along to why.
I like to burn things. Do you care if I?
As long as it's not weed, dude, you're good.
No, it's instant.
Yeah. As long as it's not weed. Weed flavor means no. Yeah.
No. This is just probably good old fashioned Nag Champa.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but I'm ignorant.
It's like probably one of the most famous incense scents. Nag Champa.
Nag Champa. Learn something every day. I'll put how that's spelled and like a nice little picture of maybe the plant that it comes from. I don't know.
Sort of my go-to.
I'm sure. If it's a classic, I think there's a reason for that too.
Yeah.
So why are you an artist?
You know, I would say I wasn't one of those people who, as a young kid, thought I was artistic or associated myself as an artist. Mostly because my family that wasn't really part of our life growing up. And so I played sports. So I was more into, being on a team and playing sports competitively. Even though now looking back, I feel like I actually have always been artistic and love being artistic, whether it's through my body, through dance, or through music, or through any, the various mediums. It's always been there as something I like to do. But this specific being a healing artist, that came later in life as I began my journey into yoga. What was the question?
Why?
Why?
What called you?
Yeah, it called me because first it began as a practitioner. I was living in Spain, in Barcelona, and I was just out of college, so early 20s, and not really taking care of myself just because I was in Barcelona having a lot of fun. but recognized I better do something healthy for myself to counteract all the, hanging out, partying.
Yeah.
And so there was a yoga studio on our street, and it was a Kundalini yoga center. And I just was like, I'm going to go and see what this is about. I go in, there's this big, tall Indian man, and he was so kind, and he said, you need to come back to this class. This woman teaches, she's amazing. She's American. She's been here 15 years, though. She's great. So come back, take her class. So I did. I came back, and it was my first yoga teacher. Her name is Guru Das. And she was just what I needed at the time, being in my early 20s. It was a strong female figure in my life who wasn't my mom. It was somebody else who lived her life in a bit of a different way than I had ever experienced the yogic lifestyle, specifically Kundalini yoga. And I just went all in. And that's sort of that's part of my personality. I'm pretty all or nothing.
Full send.
Yes. And which can be good or bad, depending on what you're doing. Yeah. So 2 years sober. So that's, a different story.
Sober of what? From what?
Alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up 2 months sober from THC.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, the all or nothing type of people.
Extremists or addicts.
Or addicts.
Yeah. Whichever one you don't like more.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started practicing religiously, and that was in 2001. And so did a lot of daily practice. Then I started doing and then it was at that point I said, I think I did my first teacher training. I was pregnant with my daughter, and it was the first trimester, so that would have been 2005. So I got certified around that time, and then I really began teaching when I decided, okay, now I feel ready to take the seat. We call it taking the seat of the teacher. I took that step my daughter was 2, so 2008. And so I would say it was at that point that when I began sharing and guiding and cultivating the group energy, and as a teacher, to me that was becoming a healing artist in that way. And so that would have been in 2008 when I felt that call to make this a big part of my life.
Cornerstone-esque part of your identity.
Yeah. I guess I had done a massage therapy course as well and certification, but leaned more heavily into teaching yoga.
What's your favorite part about being a yoga teacher?
I feel very honored every single time because it's a very intimate experience, and people are coming in and putting a lot of trust into me as the teacher. And I would say my favorite part is I love getting that feeling of oneness, of when it takes a little bit of, doing some breathing, some moving, some chanting, whatever, but then all of a sudden we're in it. And as a group, we've all of a sudden just tapped into it, and the group energy is happening, and the magic of yoga is happening. And it's different every time, depending on the group. But my favorite part is just being in that oneness, and we're all creating it, co-creating it. Yeah. And then everybody feels better.
Then the magic happens, and we're healed, and we're whole.
We feel better, and then it works.
Right. And then it works.
Yeah. So it's not complicated in that way.
Yeah, if you show up and get on your mat.
Yes, you have to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
There's no magic pill.
No. No. I wrote a poem about that. There's no magic pill. I can't finish it. Don't remember quoting else out in my head, and I don't want to look at it on my phone. I liked what you said about the realizing that you're more into the performative side of art the word escapes me yet again, which is frustrating the fuck out of me. Because it's like there's performative art and then the other form of art that I can't remember the word for, that's like the writing, drawing, painting, sculpting, and all those forms where it's like you make it first and then show it to the world when you feel like it's ready, versus like dancing or singing or playing music or yoga teaching where it's like you're in front of a live audience.
And I would even say like I'd even say that like yoga is even like a subcategory off of that, because there are teachers who perform. There are students who perform. And honestly, that's not what we want to be doing. We want to be quite raw and open and supporting each other. It's not like, stand up here, look at me, I can do a handstand.
Right.
That's not the point. The point is purely moving energy, you know? And so it's even a little bit different in that it's not, I wouldn't call it performative. I don't know what I'd call it. I'd have to think about that a little bit. But maybe we can create a third category.
Yeah, I need to add a circle of options to choose from. It's not performative. It's not whatever the other thing is that I can't remember. Dude, I hate that so much because this is like the second or third time that this happened. And I know as soon as I go, I know where the information is, but I don't know the information. Can't regurgitate it on from my subconscious right now.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get as bent out of shape as I did last time. I'm just going to let it go.
Yeah.
And then we got to figure out what the healing art is called. Because some performers, they put on a totally false or secondary facade to who they actually are behind closed doors.
Yeah.
But somebody like me, when I do stand-up comedy, it's like I'm the same person.
Yeah.
There, here, everywhere. I pride myself, which is the ego, and in a way, and being, I like to say, congruent in my personality in every facet or phase of my life. So, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember why exactly, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, it's interesting, you know, because I think as like the teacher, it's like, and when we just did a teacher training here, and that was one of the topics. It was, you know, it's honestly, as the teacher, it's not about you. You're there to serve the group.
Right.
You're there to serve the students. Yeah. And so, in fact, zero out the ego. You know, we'll do like ego eradicator. And then
ego death.
and then so you're totally there in the moment, serving the room, serving the people, and you're not even there really. It's this thing that happens. I mean, you're there, but not, you know what I mean? You're like
observing.
You're like transmitting, and you know,
the wisdom and the information and the structure.
Channeling.
Of the container.
For sure.
Right on.
In a good situation.
Right, yeah.
Doesn't always happen.
Don't get possessed by your demons.
Try not to.
Right, but let the angels swim through the channel of your mind.
There we go.
Sometimes I say shit and I'm like, wow, I'm really saying that right now. Okay, it's happening. All right, so this one, the Aristotelian telos, which is essentially, what do you feel like is the function, purpose, or end goal of your artistic endeavor as a yoga teacher? I mean, could probably guess, but I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Oh, you could guess.
If you want me to, I'm always down to guess. I have this little bit before I guess.
I might guess too, but I want to hear what your guess is.
I might guess too. I don't know. Prefacing this with this stupid thing about my name. I'd like to say that my fourth middle name is worth $1 million. If you can guess it, if you don't know what it is. But it's 1,000,000 to 1 odds. Like, you actually have to give me $1 if you're being serious about it. Because I'm literally, like, when I have the money, I'm 111%. Like, if you can do it without guessing, or like, is it the first time it happens, it's over.
Your middle name?
My fourth middle name.
Fourth middle name.
Yeah. $1 million.
Oh, I have to think of it now?
No, you don't have to. But if
it comes to me, I'll let you know.
If you're really, if you're really serious though, it's 1,000,000 to 1 odds. You have to give me $1. I'm just trying to get.
But wait, I thought we were saying what the purpose of my yoga, why I'm teaching.
Right.
Or the outcome. What was it?
The end goal. The purpose, or the function. Because you said why you wanted me to guess what that was. And then you said you were gonna guess because you were sure. But my guess, and I was the whole, dude, I'm so dumb, but my best guess, or the thing that I feel like is the closest to that, would be cultivating a sense of like inner knowing or inner peace. Because when you're laying in Shavasana after moving through the discomfort or the getting through the stretches or the breaths or the sounds of the class, it's like there's the monkey mind or the conscious mind that likes to stir the pot and say all the mean things or think all the mean thoughts. Like, that's always real quiet. You could just, if you're lucky enough, you can like tune into your heart and hear your heartbeat and hear that like inner knowing and wisdom of like, yeah, this was the right thing to do, and I'm glad I overcame any of that initial ick.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But I put all those words in your mouth.
No, I think to keep it like simple, like what drives me, like what keeps me doing this, like because it's a even though there's a lot of yoga teachers out there now, it's still not an easy path, especially I think like the yogis who are walking the walk and living a yogic lifestyle. It's a lot of it is counterculture here. And so it's often swimming against stream in a certain regard. So it's not always easy path, but it's, for me, I'm a very much a nurturing person. And in fact, I just went to India and I had my Vedic astrology read, and he said that is what I need to just continue to do, is to nurture, to give, and help others. And so I just keep doing that. And so for me, this is a creative way for me to nurture and support others.
Build community.
Yeah, in lots of ways, like personally, individually, collectively. It's just a technology that I have learned, am learning, and then get to share to help others live their lives better. That then, therefore, makes the world hopefully better.
Right. It all ripples out, man. Like,
it does.
Definitely facilitated great change and a better sense of love and well-being in my life. So
Nice.
I'm grateful.
Yay.
Thank you. Stay on your path. Don't give up. Don't get disheartened.
No. And we all go through it, you
Right.
know? Like whatever your practice is, whether it's yoga or something else, it does take that. In yoga, it's called tapas, that heat, to keep the discipline, the commitment to keep showing up, light the fire, keep it lit.
Right.
But yeah, don't get discouraged, because keep showing up. Just roll out the mat, get back on.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, as long as it's good.
Yeah.
If it's not good, that's also a really profound and simple way to change your life. But just stop doing the stuff that's not good for you.
Totally. Definitely.
Okay. So, what you spoke on? I already forgot the person's name, but that teacher.
Oh, my first teacher?
Yeah.
Guru Das.
Guru Das.
Yeah. She's a singer. She's an artist as well.
Maybe one day we'll have her on the
Yeah.
show. Who knows?
She's amazing.
What do you feel like inspired you, or if at all, do you aspire towards greatness that might look different for different individuals because of what is it called? You're like, it's not hunger per se, but when you are striving to be excellent, people, ambition, that's the one. It's the slightly dirty word. Depending on how ambitious you are, your greatness might be different. But what inspired you, or like, what do you aspire your greatness?
I mean, I think I just sort of was born this way, that I even as, like I was saying earlier, like I played sports, competitive sports, so I've always, and my family is competitive, and so I think there's just been a lot of, if you do something, do it well. And that's also just like in me already. It's like I like things, like if I'm doing something, it's a representation of me,
Mm-hmm.
and so I like it to reflect well. if anything, yoga has helped me to soften a little bit and be more compassionate around all of that. And there's lots of things that I don't need to be competitive in. And yoga is an area, it is competitive, but it isn't supposed to be, you know.
So the more like the business side?
The business side of it, and I'd say too, like the westernization of it, you know, that's a whole nother topic. So, yeah, making this my living, it's a gentle dance of like where I want to honor the yoga, but I'm also like, you know, this is helping my daughter go to college, you know, so it's like I do need some drive to create a new offering and have people sign up and get the group built to make the group energy happen, but also to make it worth my time financially. So to me, it's a balance. You gotta have, like, I gotta have some drive to have the vision and see it through, but I also have to not become so obsessed about it that it becomes almost like it distorts the yoga of it, which yoga at its essence is not about that.
Right.
So it's this, you know,
it's literally like tree pose balance, like that.
Yes.
Which is yoga is like almost a perfect metaphor.
Perfect.
For that.
Yeah.
How divine the synchronicities are. Oh yeah. So, besides your first teacher, what do you feel like has been heavy influences or influenced you as an artist?
Well, I mean, all of my teachers have been, and then again, that's also the essence of yoga. It was, you know, it's designed, and that's sort of another westernization that has sort of tweaked it, where it's become like a workout class. And so it's just like going to the class, get a membership, go to as many classes, but in its essence, you're really supposed to be working with a teacher, and the teacher is transmitting what they've learned from their teacher. You know, there's a golden line, a golden lineage here that we're tapping into, and not to say it doesn't evolve and change. It does, and I love the evolution of yoga, but it's the, you know, deep pranam, bowing to my teachers and the teachings. That is always the inspiration. I'm always looking at, there's so much in yoga to learn, different types of lineages, different types of practices, meditation, mudras, lifestyle. There's so much that I knew when I started back in 2001, I will be doing this until I die.
Right.
Because I love it. There's so much richness in it, so much to learn. So that, to me, is usually where the inspiration comes from. It usually starts with that, the teachings. And then my own teachers that have been different along the way, you know. And so I started in Kundalini and then eventually have gone more into Vinyasa for a little bit more movement. But it's all yoga. Right.
Yeah, that's a crazy concept in itself. So like, there's all of these like branches of this tree that is the root of it, or the trunk of it, is all considered one spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Of yoga. What's your favorite yoga pose?
Oh, it changes.
What's your least favorite?
I mean, one of my favorites, because it's so challenging, is Pinchamayurasana. That's the one where you're on your forearms and then your feet go up above your head, so it's a forearm balance.
It's like reverse headstand almost.
It's like a headstand, but you're on your forearms. Your head's down.
Is your head touching the ground or no?
No,
right.
Your forearms are.
Yeah.
Like a headless. You know,
forearm
stance. Yeah.
Yeah. Say it in the Western way.
Yeah. So your feet are straight up in the air, and you're upside down. there we go.
Right.
And that one's hard. I have to like work at it regularly. Otherwise, it's like it doesn't just happen. I don't just float up into it. So that's one of my favorites because it's hard. And then I'd also say, because it feels so good for me, not everybody, but I like pigeon pose, which is a made-up pose too. It's not even like one of the traditional poses. We've changed it, but it feels good on your hips. So
yeah.
I've really enjoyed teaching yin yoga lately. It's a very gentle, nurturing practice.
Right.
And to give ourselves that time to slow down and take care of ourselves here in this culture is really, really special.
Rebellious even.
Completely.
Yeah.
People have a very, very hard time with that class at first because it requires stillness.
And quiet.
Yes. And that's hard. We're opposite, you know, constantly doing something.
Right? Being productive, or especially masculinity. You're not serving your function, you're not even human or something like that. There's definitely been some plant medicines ceremonies about that for sure in my life. Do you have a muse? Like when you're...
That's funny you say that.
Isn't it though?
Yeah, it is. Don't tell him.
Well, it's gonna be on the internet, dog, so I don't know.
No, I'd say my husband,
Really?
Alex.
Okay.
Especially when I'm making my playlist, you know, he plays music and he has very specific thoughts around sound as a musician himself.
Is there any? I'm also just curious. Like,
Yeah.
Does he go into the science of sound at all, or is he purely from the artistic?
He has traditionally been just like, you know, background in jazz and then rock and roll and anything else. But and so when he's created soundscapes for my classes, it's been mostly just bringing in his different influences. But just as recently, it's funny you say that, because I've been really getting interested in like the different frequencies and brain waves and how to like really dial in our offering when he does the live sound. So I've asked him to like, hey, this next class in particular, we're going to focus on the bottom third chakras, the bottom triangle. And so can you dial in on the frequencies that would target that area? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've asked him, and he's like, you know. And he's like, don't put it out there. So I'm like writing up the class description, getting ready to put it out and tell people, this is what we're going to do this next yoga live. And he's just like, wait, I got to figure this out. Like, don't tell the world yet. I was like, okay, well, hurry up, you know, because this is where we're going to go. Let's do it.
I gotta advertise.
Yeah, I know. Got to promote.
Yep.
And so he's very talented and gifted, so I'm not worried at all. Like, he'll figure it out for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's good. It sort of like teaches him. We learn together. But when I'm creating my playlist in particular, I've learned that's a whole science in and of itself, and everybody likes to do it differently. But I'm always thinking of him. You know, like. Not like I'll do what I want to do, but then it's like I think, ooh, he'll like this, you know, and I'm gonna like get him with this one, and then and even the silent tracks, you know, he's like the spacing, like all the subtleties,
right?
Like he'll notice, and probably nobody else would.
Well, musicians, ears, right?
They would, and so he definitely, and he also gives me good feedback on my classes, and so because he can give me honest feedback. It's really fun to be creative together and do our offering joint. But yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, this almost goes without saying, but does spirituality or religion play a part in your artistic pursuit? I don't know, dude. Or what does spirituality mean to you, even?
Yeah. You know, I feel fortunate coming into yoga that I came through the pathway of Kundalini, because it is very potent and it's very unchanged from
antiquity.
Well, there's debate over that, but it is not like the flowy, fun, we're gonna work out, put on a cool song. It's not that kind of yoga. it seems strange to people at first. It's hard to explain. It's hard to, people feel uncomfortable because it's different. But it was based in this idea of like, no, we're going to do it like this because it works. It's potent. Don't mess with it.
Right.
And it's not about how it looks. It's not about your ego. Let go of your ego and
Right.
hold your arms up at 60 degrees and breathe. And
Yeah.
don't put them down.
Right.
You know? And it's all, honestly, it's to connect with God. And this is yoga. And people want to take God out of yoga here, and that's fine. Anybody can do whatever they want.
Right. I just feel like you lose that like magic of the mystery of life, because all of the variables that you seemingly have any control over, all of the ones that you don't, like there's an intelligence or a wisdom or an intent behind those variables, and something, not so much someone, not a man in the clouds or a fucking demon in the ground is controlling them, just like a intelligent thing that's almost beyond human comprehension. I literally like to think about it as like the allegory or the metaphor, like if you could get to the edge of like what is truly within human knowing, and you look over the ledge of knowledge, it's like all of that is still, there's something about pulling things out of the unknown into the knowable, and like that boundary is like where one way in which you can experience the all, or the one,
Totally.
the infinite.
Yeah, I mean, that's deep. And after just returning from India, like the birthplace of yoga, and going to these ancient temples and watching these people do their ceremony, and you know, the chanting, the Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, laying their bodies down over and over, prostration. It's just like, wow, this is amazing, and it's magical, and everybody's just tapped in to this, to the divine. And so this is where yoga came from.
Right.
And so for me, I'm tapping into something divine. I'm helping other people, hopefully. So anyways, for me, it's like, I don't try to be like God heavy and force people to like believe in God. That's not my purpose. It's more just to have an experience, an embodied experience of something special, and they can name it what they want,
Right.
and associate it with whatever they want. But for me, you know, I like to connect to something higher. It makes my life better. And I've gone through periods where I haven't, and my life was harder, and darker. Do we really know? Probably not. But can you choose a way that makes your life feel better? Yeah.
Sure.
So that's what I do.
Right. Yeah. It's free will is a very funny. I want to just call it an illusion, because I think that ultimately, like how there's the Vedic concept of Maya, that time is the illusion, that also that like free will, the conscious mind is this like little like part of you that passes on, or doesn't pass on. The subconscious and the soul is the thing that is like infinite, or damn near infinite, and records everything. And then when you get to go back to wherever life is truly being, I almost want to say like projected from, that it's like the sun projects its rays of light somewhere in that, where we haven't been able to measure it, or the technology to measure said energy is like suppressed because it would radically alter society. Is that like there's an energy that like animates or projects life itself into our bodies, and that like consciousness is like a radio wave or a like internet stream of information that's just like, you get a little like resistor, that your ego is the little resistor that like eventually shorts out, and then the stream is then free to return back to the source in this just big lemniscate infinite loop forever and ever and ever and ever. And then people get, because of the illusion of free will, we get caught up in the identity of ourselves and our stories and our limitations and or preferably lack thereof. Yeah, and that it's weird because for me, I used to be so like strongly like free will. It's definitely there. Like I have to be able to make decisions and have like choices on the variables and things. But the more you study and lean into the subconscious mind is actually like pulling the strings behind the scenes. You like think that you have it, but it's like it's just kind of life is just happening, and it varies like this intuitive, instinctual balancing act between those two ideas and concepts, and that like you're making it up, but it's also like the path is sort of like set out for you, and you have like the ability to choose between what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and then like sometimes you don't lean into the uncomfortability because that's more where growth is, but then if you lean too far into that, you can get injured, and then you just flip back onto the same opposite side of the coin of like, oh, now I have to rest because I pushed myself too hard. But if you push yourself too hard, then you're gonna end up like a couch potato, and then you're gonna suffer more because you didn't exercise.
Yeah.
This giant, crazy conundrum of like polarity and choices, but you don't have them, but you do have them. We love to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder.
I love to play the game.
Yeah, I don't know, and even like with karma, like how much it could be your karma to you think you're choosing to not do that, but then maybe it was your karma that led you to choose to not do that. You know,
as soon as you open that door, it's like then you got to open up like past lives and reincarnation, and you're like, did I hurt somebody in my past life, and now I'm dealing with this crazy stuff because of that? Like,
well, in India, they believe that it's written and that your life is written, and so just like relax, put on a seatbelt, and enjoy the ride. But then when I got my Vedic chart read. He knew so much about my life just by looking at the stars, looking at when I was born and everything. He knew like how many pregnancies I've had. He knew that my daughter wore glasses. He knew that I had hurt my knee. He knew that about my husband's family land. He knew about
I'm just kidding.
Some like Vedic priest,
so other side of the world, priest. Never met me before, like
and all based on the stars. When I was born, it was already written. You know, so I was like, oh my god, that's crazy.
Well, yeah, then you're now in the realm of like the Akashic records, where like all like there's literally like if there's the exact thing, the exact future that's like certain, even though it's like in flux constantly because of the choices and variables, the levers and knobs and turns of infinity, being able to change it, make it as awesome, even more awesome than you can possibly comprehend. That like knowing that it's all like there and certain to happen anyway, there really isn't a thing that you need to like freak out about.
No.
But like you just want to like, I don't know, like my whole self-improvement and self-development and improving as a human being, like overall, is like I just am on the path. Getting knocked off of it doesn't feel great, but like that part of it is like I like to say now, it's like the low is like the pullback of a slingshot, and you're gonna like appreciate it, because when you get back to the next high, really appreciate that, and you got to be able to like find the gratitude in both.
Yeah.
Even when the low doesn't feel very good.
No.
But I missed something in there. It's fine. We're fine. Doesn't have to be perfect. I didn't remember the other thing either. Like, well,
just the karma of it, so that you're, like you said, like if you're on this path of self-care, of growth, thank Goddess, you know, that you are on this path, and maybe that's your karma to be on that path.
I think I'd very much prefer to not have had a earthly incarnation before, and to think that I was like an alien. Because I've had multiple readings, under hypnosis, which I don't really know if I can really be hypnotized. I don't think that I can be, but it's just...
Why don't you think you can be?
It's a thing that I've seen...
Have you done it?
Yeah, I've done hypnotism, but it's never like to the point where because I had this experience when I was drinking ayahuasca where like the filter, whatever part of your brain filters your speech and that gives you that control over expressing yourself or not, that was completely inhibited, and whatever I was having channeled through me, I was experiencing that in my head, but then apparently I was like expressing it outward, but there was I literally had zero recollection in the moment that I was saying anything out loud. Like, it was literally none. Like, people said like things that I was like seeing to me after the fact, and I was like, dog, what the fuck? How did you guys even know about that? They're like, oh, you were like looping and saying shit, and I was like, bro, what? Like,
whoa.
that was, yeah, I was like, that didn't, I had no idea. I don't know why I was saying that, but
somehow we got on hypnotism.
Hypnotism, yeah, past lives and reincarnation and incarnation. I just feel like I have a fairly strong, like if it isn't like, if there isn't a level of psychedelics to be able to like lower those filters and those guards in my brain, I don't feel like I'm, because when I was under, quote unquote, under the influence of the hypnotism, I could have just like opened my eyes, got up and like left. Like there was no like, I didn't feel like I was like in a trance or in a spell or like in a deep so it was basically was in a deep meditative like state, but it was consciously or like willingly participating in it. Like I feel like there's a level of hypnotism if you're like legitimately can be hypnotized, where like once you're in it, you're that past that point of like all the filters are off and you're no longer have the ability to like willingly participate anymore. Like the people that are like.
Did you want to get hypnotized?
Oh yeah. It was like I was there.
You were there
to do the past life. Yeah.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
But you feel like it wasn't actually working?
Yeah, I don't think it was like. I just don't think I can be hypnotized the way that you see like the showman performance.
I've done
things.
it once. I have a friend who has studied it and practiced it, and she hypnotized me. So I've had the experience of getting hypnotized.
Right.
And it was a trip. Like I went back to like when I was a very little girl, even to a baby, and saw things that like I didn't know. I had some, like they say, it's pulling from deep within, I guess your subconscious.
Yeah. And
so I did see images and scenes from my very, very young. So I've had that experience. It was good for me because then I was able to heal some things that needed healing. But I was very willing and open and receptive. I'm wondering like if maybe you weren't and you didn't want to be.
It's because even how you just described that you saw things and experienced things in like that stream of consciousness, like guided meditation style of like hypnotism, that I think is kind of what hypnotism sort of is.
Okay.
Apparently some people like don't experience their own mindscape like that in any way, shape, or form. That they don't have an internal monologue or dialogue, or don't have the visualization, imaginative like arena of their like brain.
Yeah, it was like snapshots, like looking down and
like
seeing pictures of like when I was like 3. Even then she took me back like, or first it went way back when I was a baby, like an infant. And I'm like, how in the... But then I asked my mom about the way the house was set up, and she like corroborated everything that I had seen. And then same thing, then she took me up to my 3-year-old was when I needed the healing, something had happened. And so I was like working with that time in life. But it was like my mind was seeing that, and I was feeling. So it was seeing and feeling very deeply. Like I cried. Because I was like a little baby, like a 3-year-old crying at that feeling, those feelings as a 3-year-old would feel. Right,
the cellular memory holds it on to some aspect of it for sure. I mean, I've definitely experienced that in like breathwork.
Okay.
Things like that. Yeah, dude, I remember one of the breathwork trainings I started. The thing was like really powerful in the group energy, and then I like remember seeing like an angel and like this other like being I can only describe as like an alien. I feel like I remember the alien looked like it was like made of lightning with like a head of like pure light, and then the being was like either green or purple and like had one of like the plague doctor masks on, and I'm just like, oh shit. And then it's just the whole everything after that was like black. I don't remember anything realistically, and I remember like coming out of it and being like, the fuck just happened?
Wow.
And that was in that training. One of the days later, that was one of the ones where I had like a past life experience, which eventually ended up coming back around at my first ayahuasca ceremony, because the people at the time told me that I shouldn't do ayahuasca because of how much of an alien that I am. And all of to round that story out, like I've never experienced any of the past life stuff or under hypnosis as like a human being. It's always been like the one is like a frog shaman or like whatever the fuck the intergalactic squid centaur thing was. Like it's just these are things that I've had, and like, I don't know, people were like, I've just been a human for thousands of years. I'm like, well, I feel you, dog. I'm doing it right now, but like, can't super duper relate because Earth is a very broken place, man. A lot of like, we don't even, I'm convinced based on things that I've heard that it's like, the fact that like humanity doesn't have an unbroken chain of its historical, like how they like came to be, and like we get the cookie cutter school consensus, like this is what the scientists say and think, even though like the billionaires are paying the scientists to say that the world is this way, that like those people, or that like, because we don't have the unbroken chain of like the history of how where our ancestors came from, and like even if you go back and like look at the ancient stories and myths that they espouse, like this is what happened, they're so far removed from the materialistic like evolution just like naturally happened and there wasn't aliens that interfered, interference theory, that it's like, even though that's what all of the myths are a fair amount, pretty much. The only one placed, because I was at a thing earlier today that is kind of why I'm going off about it, but the only place that I haven't heard that's what people were saying is like from China, or like that part of like that scoping part of like Asia and like Russia kind of, but even then I think probably
they said what?
That I haven't heard their like creation myths of their like ancient ways of like like people, lights came down from the sky and gave us this technology, or like we descended from people that were their slaves, and then like eventually they left because they got what they needed and just like left us here because they didn't want to take care of us anymore. They like did something that like created a giant flood, because the flood story that's definitely like everywhere, that like the world got flooded from like a pole shift or whatever it was, and like they basically tried to kill us all and wipe us off, but like some of the people knew that it was coming because they were like, they told them, and then they like continued to do their whole enslavement thing. And that's like a thing that I've heard, that the people that aren't so nice pulling the strings at the top of society, they themselves believe that they descended from those people, or like their DNA is more pure, or whatever the crazy thing is that they espouse, and that's the reason why they can say that exactly. They're just like, I don't know, dude, like it's a wild world, and I just, truth is stranger than fiction, and the more you embody truth and become more whole, the weirder other people who are like less tapped into it like see you, because of the social programming of like conspiracy theorist or heretic, which was before like the Spanish Inquisition was their version of conspiracy theorist, that if you went against the narrative of the Catholic Church, or if you go against the narrative of the U.S. government or intelligence agencies, they're just like intellectual put down, you're crazy, shut up, stop talking.
Yeah, I mean, one of my yoga teachers, she calls it, in different lineages, they look at time differently, but in some lineages, it's considered the Kali Yuga, and you know, Kali is the goddess of like death.
Right.
And so we are in this time right now, according to this belief, that this is not the easiest time to be in. There's a lot of heaviness and density and death, and she even talked about it like people are possessed. And so it's like, that's why we need to ground every single day. That's why we need to breathe, do conscious breath work, and use mantra, and so that we reset our own vibration to a higher frequency and not get into these other low vibration ways of being, thinking, because that is easy right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the prevalent vibe.
That is it's just the longer the internet continues to allow people to have access to this information and figure themselves out, or be exposed to ideas that are outside of what they've been told in school, it's going to polarize more and more to the fact of like, you can choose to live in fear and ignorance and believe the authoritarians, or you can like do your own research, try to get out of their thought control system, and like do things that take care of yourself and raise your vibe and heal and be whole.
Totally. And I think that's honestly, it's like, that's to me, like that's why I love yoga, is because it's like, it's quite revolutionary in the sense that have your own experience. I'm not going to tell you what it feels like. It is experiential, and all of a sudden now you're quieting, you're listening to that inner wisdom. And it's not about taking in more and more and more. It's actually about being quiet and listening from within and tapping into that. And if we can do that, if more of us can begin to do that more often, to me, that's where a great shift can also happen. Technology's great, internet's great for lots of things, but there's also like the wisdom of being a human. There actually is quite a bit. And to return to like all the being, what does that mean to be a human, and how can we thrive as humans?
Definitely. Being in community. Yeah, being in community, and not running away from your own experience and like inundating yourself with like mindless scrolling or ice cream or fucking.
Yeah, exactly. Be creative. Yeah.
Be creative. Sit down
Try
and
to
draw.
eat healthy. All of this stuff.
Music.
It's not complex.
It's simple, but it's not easy sometimes. No. But that's the whole.
Because then you're swimming against upstream.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta do that as a salmon, but we're not salmon.
No.
So no need. Okay, so we're pretty close to an hour, but there was that little kerfuffle in the beginning.
Okay.
And this allows me to ask you the final question that I like to end on, and at least the first episode, because there's always opportunity in the future to do another one, but I want to at least get through 1 year of like new people every single time or something.
Totally.
Because the more I do this, the more I'm like, bro, there's so many people to talk to. Holy crap, this is awesome. It's so great.
I bet.
But the question being that God, goddess, spirit, great mystery, great spirit willing that this isn't going to happen. But if it were to take place, that as soon as I hit the end stream button and finish the recording, that we were to cease to be, die, whatever, however you want to say it, what nugget of wisdom, if you could impart onto the viewers here who are listening, or if you could beam it to all 7 or 8 billion brains on the planet, like what would you want them to know or carry on with them in their journey or what have you?
There's so many mantras, so many nuggets.
No. You gotta pick the biggest, most golden one.
The biggest. Well, I'm gonna take it from one of my teachers and share it.
Paying homage to the unbroken golden lineage, the golden nugget.
And the saying or the teaching is to live light, travel light, and be the light.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah.
So live light, be the light.
Live light, travel light, and be the light.
Oh, girl, I'm gonna travel light. My bags are packed. I just want to know where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah, be the light.
It's a country song.
It is?
Yeah, dude. When I hear the travel light, the bags are packed, it was like, I'll go anywhere with you. I don't know if that's what it's called, but I don't even know who sings it. But as people say things, and I just immediately am like, song lyric. What song is that from? And then I go down the thing, like, oh, that's what the song is. Like, I'm listening to this meditation every night, or mostly every night. I've been slacking a little bit recently, but it's like, what is it? He said, the guy, Bob Proctor, said something in it that's like, crap, I can't remember exactly what the word is, but it's like, it's from a Weird Al song. That's a parody of Gangster's Paradise. It's Amish Paradise, and he says it, and for a while there I was like, what is this from? I know what this is from, and then I got it, and I was like, yeah, that's the thing, but I can't remember what the thing is that triggers me to remember.
That's funny.
I'm a comedian. My nugget of wisdom is just like surrender to the process of becoming. Like it's sometimes being strong and holding your boundaries required, but to like be able to something and travel light and be the light, to do that requires like humility and the humbleness to surrender to the process of becoming.
Totally. It's beautiful.
Right?
I love it.
Will you play the gong? Play us out?